Lily had decided, sometime in the slow weeks of February, that the Callaway building was the most beautiful thing in the city, not because of its name. She didn't know it carried our name. She'd never asked why I always slowed the truck a little when we passed it on errands, why I let my eyes travel up the glass face of it, the way a man looks at something he built with his hands, and then quietly stepped away from. She just knew what she knew. The lobby had a fountain with real river stones, and the light in the afternoon came through the south windows in long gold bars, and it smelled, somehow, like cedar and clean water. She'd told me that 3 times, so when I asked her, back in March, what she wanted for her birthday, she didn't hesitate. "I want to bring flowers there," she said, "to the pretty building, and I want you to come." That was the whole wish. 8 years old, and that was it. I'd bought the bouquet the morning of. Pale, yellow tulips, her mother's favorite, and Lily knew it, even if she was too young to say so out loud. I carried them in the crook of my arm and held her hand with the other, and we walked through the revolving door at 11:10 on a Thursday. Her birthday. The air inside cool and faintly sweet the way she'd described it. The lobby was busy. A woman in a charcoal blazer was crossing from the elevator bank with a phone pressed to her ear and a clipboard under her arm, moving the way people move when they've decided that everyone around them is furniture. She nearly walked into Lily. She didn't apologize. She stopped about 10 feet away and looked back at us. "Can I help you?" the tone said. She hoped the answer was no. I told her we were just stopping in for a moment, that my daughter had wanted to see the lobby, that I had a small delivery, flowers, nothing that needed signing. "This isn't a park," she said, "and we don't accept walk-in deliveries." She said it with the particular patience of someone who considers patience a form of generosity. She glanced at Lily once, the way you glance at something in your way, and then looked back at me. "I'll need you to take that outside. Will only be a minute," I said. "Sir." She said it like a period. "I'm going to ask the desk to see you out." Her name, I learned from the lanyard swinging at her chest, was Mara Stokes, Senior Vice President, Operations. I'd seen her name on one memo, months back, in a stack of documents I'd barely skimmed. I hadn't thought about her since. The desk attendant, a young man who looked genuinely sorry, came over and explained that he'd have to ask us to step outside. He said it quietly, like he was embarrassed on our behalf, which I appreciated. I thanked him for his time. Lily didn't cry. I want to be clear about that. She looked up at me and slipped her hand back into mine, and her face did that thing it does when she's decided something isn't worth her tears. That face breaks my heart more than crying would. We went outside. I found a bench half a block down. Lily sat beside me and held the tulips in her lap, and for a little while neither of us said anything. "Mama would have found it funny," Lily said finally. "She would have," I said. "She had a gift for that." We went to the diner on the next block. Lily had a grilled cheese and a chocolate milk, and I had coffee, and she told me at length about a book she was reading, something about a girl who builds a boat and sails to an island that doesn't appear on any map. I listened. I am always listening when she talks. It is one of the few things I am certain I do well. My phone buzzed at 12:15. I let it go to voicemail. It buzzed again at 12:20. Same number, a 312 area code I recognized as the firm's outside counsel. I silenced it. At 12:31, a different number. This one I picked up, Ray. It was as Gerald Marsh, the board chair. His voice had the careful steadiness of a man who has rehearsed calm. "I need you to know we've been trying to reach you." "I know," I said. "The refinancing closes in 60 days. You're the last signature."
If we don't have it.
"I know," Gerald, a pause. "Where are you?" "Having lunch with my daughter," I said. "It's her birthday." Another pause, longer. "Of course it is. Ray, I'm sorry. Can we, when you're ready? Please." I told him I'd come by when we were finished. I ordered Lily a slice of pie. She ate it slowly, the way she does everything, like she's decided the moment deserves her full attention. I watched her and thought about her mother, who'd had the same quality, that unhurried way of being present. I thought about the afternoon I'd stood in a half-built lobby 14 years ago and decided to put my name on the note instead of walking away. I thought about how little that decision had felt like, at the time, and how much it had turned out to matter. "Ready?" I asked. When the pie was gone. "Ready," she said. She carried the tulips herself on the walk back. The lobby was different when we came through the second time. Gerald was there, and beside him the company's outside counsel, a woman named Patricia Osey, who shook my hand with both of hers. 3 members of the board stood near the elevator in a loose, uncertain cluster. One of them I didn't recognize. 2 I did. Mara Stokes was there too. She was standing to the side with her clipboard, and she looked at me the way you look at something, when the scale of it is only beginning to reach you. Patricia handed me the folder. I didn't open it yet. I looked at the desk attendant, the young man who'd seen us out earlier. He was watching from behind the reception counter, uncertain whether to look at me or away from me. You still have your job, I told him quietly. That's a condition. He blinked. Sir? When I signed this, I said, the lobby staff stays. All of them. That's the one condition. Gerald nodded before I'd even finished the sentence. Of course. Ray, of course, whatever you need. I opened the folder on the reception desk. Patricia pointed to the line. I took the pen she offered. The lobby was very quiet. I signed. Lily had drifted to the fountain. She was crouching at its edge, trailing one finger through the water, watching the ripples move across the river stones. She wasn't paying attention to any of us. She had found what she'd come for. I looked over at Mara Stokes. Her face had settled into something I recognized. Not shame exactly. More like the particular stillness of a person reordering what they thought they knew. She opened her mouth once, and then closed it. It's a good building, I said. Not unkindly, just a fact. I picked up the tulips from the desk where I'd set them, walked to where Lily was crouching by the fountain, and handed them to her. Can we put them somewhere? She asked. Let's ask. Patricia found a vase. The tulips ended up on the long table in the second-floor boardroom, which is a room I technically own a meaningful portion of. Though I have never once cared to sit at its head, someone from the board said something gracious. Gerald shook my hand 3 times. I thanked them for their patience and told them I hoped the refinancing went smoothly. Lily and I left at 2:30. She held my hand on the way to the truck, and for most of the walk she was quiet, which with her means she is thinking something through. Did you know the man at the desk? She asked when we got to the corner. Not before today. We're nice to him. He was kind to us, I said. That seemed worth noting. She thought about this for a moment. Then, Mama would have done that too. She would have, I said. She did it better than me. We drove home with the windows down and the late afternoon coming gold across the dashboard, and Lily sang something low and half-invented to herself in the passenger seat, the way she does when she's content. I drove and listened, the way I always do. It was, in the end, exactly the birthday she had asked for. I don't know what Mara Stokes made of that afternoon. I never asked. There are things a man knows without needing to be told. That contempt is almost always a failure of information, that the people who wave you off are rarely trying to wound you. They simply haven't looked closely enough to know what they're waving at, and there are things worth more than making them feel the full weight of their mistake. Lily had her fountain. She had her tulips. She had the afternoon light coming gold through the south windows. Exactly the way she describes Babs. 3 times, back in the slow weeks of February. That was the whole wish, and I had kept it.